America is a north country, but it is not the north country by the Euphrates. When we're gathered from the north country. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong about this. But if we're gathered from the north country, we first have to be there. We're in a north country, but we're not in the north country. I'll share this with you. I believe that what's coming is an exodus out of this country, of the remnant of the house of Israel. But before we join with Judah in the land of Israel, we're going to spend some time in this place called the North Country, where we'll get it together as one nation under God. The one nation under God is Israel. And what's made this nation great is the Israel within it. And those that are called by His name. And He's not going to run away from us. He's going to bring us home. And that home is not here. So, when you see the bad guys breaking up this country, in a way they're doing God's will, even though they're wicked. Because they're stirring the pot. You know, we might not want to go to certain places, but God says, you got to go. And it was Yahweh that allowed Israel to have a bad Pharaoh in Egypt, so that he could magnify himself against Pharaoh and bring his children out. He's doing the same here. There's a Pharaoh that knew not Joseph, named Barack Hussein Obama. Oh, sorry, did I pronounce that wrong? Sorry, because I don't want to disrespect the President of the United States of America. That is terrible. I'm saying that because that's what's going on. What is best in this country is going to be preserved. What's best in this country will be preserved, but we've got to get it together. Because the bad guys are wrecking the joint. The rats are in the ship, they're eating through the hull. And the good ship Lollipop's taking on water. And we've got to wake up. And the same thing's happening in New Zealand and Australia. The same United Nations agenda. And the people there are even more asleep. But that's what they're turning this country into, Sodom. And they're turning Australia and New Zealand the same way. So here's a little a pictorial diagram. This is the world according to Rory. So I don't claim to be infallible, but what I'm presenting here is that through World War I and World War II, the Jewish people have been gathered to the land. They're still not operating the way they ought to, but they're starting to get themselves together. We've got another world war coming. Another big upheaval, which is going to bring a lot of the Jews out of America that survive it. But not only them. The house of Israel's here also. And they're going home. And then He's going to bring us to the mountains of Israel via the north country, I believe. So we're going out of a north country to the north country, which is just above the Euphrates. So, anyway, during World War I we had the League of Nations. World War II, the United Nations. World War III, Babylon. Something like that. The bad guys are coming together, but the good guys are coming together as well. The land of the free is going to be Israel, and Babylon's right next door. So in a way, America's being exported to the Middle East. What they've set up here is going to be exported. The bad part goes to Babylon eventually. The good part goes to Israel. When you play a game of chess or drafts or checkers, whatever you want to call it, you've got white pieces and black pieces. At the moment, they're all mixed in the same box. God's going to do a process of separation. Put the black pieces in Babylon and the white pieces in Israel. And I'm not talking about the colour of our skin, I'm talking about the colour of our heart. God's separating the light from the darkness. He's separating the upper waters from the lower waters. He's separating and causing the dry land to appear, which is Israel, out from amongst the nations, which is the sea. So God's all about separating. He's separated us individually, but He's going to remember His covenant. He says, if you're scattered to the furthest corners of the earth or the furthest corners of the heaven, but you and your children keep my law, then I will bring you back to the mountains of Israel. I'll bring you back. Read Deuteronomy chapter 30. 30. God is a covenant keeper. He's going to bring us home. So I'm not worried about what the bad guys do, but as I say, I'm quietly concerned. There's hope, but it's not hope here. It's hope getting from here to there. I don't need to fill in my passport or join the Jewish agency. In order to stay in Israel, they want to take away my faith in Yeshua.
Amen.
That's God's way of saying it's not time yet. Okay? You can keep that, Judah. I would rather have the Messiah. You can stay in the land. I would rather be outside the land but have my king in my heart. But we'll meet later on and we'll have a reunion.
Hallelujah.
And that'll be a great day. There's going to be a period of time when Israel's blessed and in the land. Now we can see war clouds everywhere. Things aren't going to last here in the world. There's big trouble coming right now. But it's going to get us to the land of Israel. We're going to be blessed there eventually. I believe we go through the land of the north and then Israel itself. We're blessed for a time period under a reunited Israel and Judah with a Davidic monarchy, and then a generation or so later the falling away occurs, the Antichrist. And then the tribulation itself starts, and Jacob is saved. It's not destroyed, but the world is destroyed. Much of the nations are destroyed. But Israel, when you get to the time of the end, Yeshua says there'll be 2 against 3 and 3 against 2. The enemy of a man will be in his own house. Those are great odds. Because at the moment it's 1 against 10,000, at least in Australia. So we're living in a time where it's Laodicean, where there's few people that are awake. When the tribulation comes, half of Israel is saved and half of them ain't. Half of them are wise virgins, half of them are unwise. 5 wise and 5 foolish. 2 against 3 and 3 against 2. That's 5 against 5. 50-50. It's a different time. Yes, it's trouble in a man's house, but it's good trouble because at least half of them are getting saved. We're not in that period of time now. We're in a time of declension where the generations have corrupted themselves and few men are left. Few will be saved. The outcome of that is that the bride makes herself ready. We see her in Revelation 12, clothed with the sun, standing on the moon, and then the kingdom comes. Yeshua returns, destroys the bad guys, and we all live happily ever after. So, that's what I believe we're coming to. We're coming to a time of burning. Nuclear holocaust. Outpouring of God's Spirit. You go, how can we survive a nuclear holocaust? Well, certainly not in San Francisco. I would be heading to the hills. So if you haven't got a tent and you can't afford one, get one. Get prepared. But don't be trusting in your preparations. Trust in the Lord, Yahweh, with all your heart. Lean not on thine own understanding, in all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths. Even when America's fallen to bits. Even when Australia is upside down. And New Zealand's baptised in the Pacific Ocean. He will, though you walk through the waters, you'll not be drowned. So let us make Yahweh our trust and our hope. This Torah is going to have boot leather. It's going to get real. It's a book of war from Genesis to Revelation. There's spiritual warfare and there's actual physical warfare. And there's things we have to go through. But we're going to see it with the Lord. And if the government offers you safety in a FEMA camp, say, look, I don't want to go to Club Med or Club FEMA. You can keep it. Thank you very much. But we want to stay far away from those sort of places. Because those are places of destruction. And Yahweh is going to be with them. Because He's going to use at times the bad guys to burn up the chaff. There's Christians that I know that I want them to wake up to the Torah because I know that they're born of God. I know they're my brothers, so they don't get some stuff. I would to God that they wake up. I pray that they do, and I believe many will, but many won't. There'll be people in FEMA camps that are actually born of God's Spirit, and they're going to die there. And there's going to be others that are not born of His Spirit, much more of them, that are going to die there because they didn't listen. And God's going to be with them. They will die, but their spirits may be saved. This Torah is about physical salvation down here as well as spiritual salvation. This is why we need to know which way the wind is blowing. God is awakening Israel. He's saying to Pharaoh, Satan, I want my son, and I'm calling forth my son out of Egypt. And Satan says, no, you're not. I'm going to close all the doors. I'm going to bring in TSA. I'm going to bring in Homeland Security Act. I'm going to close the doors. I'm going to keep them safe. I'm going to keep them safely here. And God says, I'm going to get them. He says, well, let me first kill off the ones that aren't listening. And Yahweh says, okay. So that's what's coming. There's coming a time when God's going to pay us back for not listening to Him. Just like He did with the house of Judah in World War II. The same bad guys are organising World War III. This is something we're going to have to go through together. So be encouraged, because there's an aftermath of this. We're going to be playing Happy Families. Let's get to that part. So the tears are going to be gathered and burned. And the Amalekite Nazis and the guys running the FEMA camps say, we'll do it. Okay?